Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to today's video. Today I want to talk about blocking your blessings. So what I mean by this is that a lot of the time we want our life to look a certain way, and we have certain expectations of what success looks like for us. And I think that's important that we know what happiness, success, prosperity, wealth, and just general good things look like, and we have them defined. That way we're not reliant on life to give us something and then evaluating how we feel about it. We have an idea in our mind, and then that pushes us on our path to, in a sense, achieving those things. And so we have a metrics whether something is successful or not successful. So I think that's a thing that a lot of people don't have. They kind of don't intrinsically have the definitions of the things that they value in their life. And so they just take what they can get, and then however they feel based on that, that feeling of good or bad is then based on how they value themselves. So that's a side point that I want you to keep in mind. Now, on the other hand, we can define success in our lives, such as monetary success maybe means X amount of dollars or rands per month. Or it could mean maybe not having to work a job. There's a plethora of ways to define what certain aspects of our life, what success means for those different aspects of our life. And I think that's important. But sometimes when we define that and then believe too much in it, in the sense of if it doesn't look like this, then it's a failure, then I think we start to block our blessings, because it's important to use those metrics of success for us as a subjective definition of success in order to guide us, in order to enhance our process of our journey and allowing us to achieve what we're after. But when it becomes the only metric to success, then we lose track of why we even started it in the first place, and we begin to block our blessings. So if we could put this into an example, it's almost like, let's say somebody is trying to become more social, and for them, maybe it's a guy who has never had attention from women. So his idea of success in terms of socially is getting validation from women. So that's his definition because of his life experience. Now, let's say on his process of self-improvement, he begins to learn how to speak to women, but at the same time also begins to learn how to interact better with men, and just his social skills and acuity just gets better overall. But because he defines success now as validation from women, he's unable to see that when he's successfully interacting with men, that is progress in terms of his social skills. But because he defined it as validation from women, he's not gonna feel like it's successful. He's not gonna feel like he's making progress. The same can be said with maybe he is getting validation from girls, but it's not actually the ones he wants. And so he still is making progress in the aspect and the area of his life that he's wanted to make progress in. But because it's not with the woman he wants, therefore he feels like he's not making progress. And this can be the same thing whether it's in finance, relationships, lifestyle. I mean, if you really take a step back, anyone watching this video probably has food on their plate every day of the week. They probably have a roof over their head. They probably have access to the internet. They have a device in which they can watch this. So objectively, having ticked all these boxes, you're living better than a king used to live 200 to 400 years ago. That's not that far ago. But because we feel like the goalposts have moved and we're not looking holistically, we're looking at what my neighbor is achieving, what the lifestyle they're living, or what your ex is doing, and you're comparing yourself to other people rather than your own standard. and your own values. But once again, if we go too much into our own values, then it's like, okay, well, if I don't achieve this certain milestone, then it's a failure. That can also be negative. So I think blocking your blessings comes in these two different flavors. One, in terms of just not even acknowledging when life is good to you, when there's things you can be grateful for, when you're actually succeeding, but you don't even know what the definition of success is. And the other flavor is when you are actually making progress in the aspect of your life that you desire, but because you define it as this hyper-specific thing, it's impossible for you to ever achieve that. In that case, it's a case of self-sabotage. A case of, I'm setting this goal knowing that I won't achieve it because intrinsically I feel like a failure. And so what's even the point of making a realistic goal? Because you don't believe that you're the type of person that can do that. Because if it was a realistic goal, it would be something that even when you're not achieving it, you can recognize that you're taking steps to achieving it. You can recognize that you're making progress rather than feeling that it's black and white. Either you're achieving it and being a success, and if you're not, then it's a failure. That's self-sabotage. And so I think a lot of the times we block our blessings by not recognizing how beautiful our life is, how prosperous we are, and how lucky and how many opportunities we have in this life. And we start to focus on the things that are not there. We start to focus on the scarcity. We focus on the things that are not going our way rather than all the things that are going our way. I think biologically as humans, psychologically, we're wired to think that way. But it doesn't mean we have to. It's a survival mechanism. We have to focus on the negative because those are existential threats to our life and our health and our reproduction and our relationships in a society. But we don't live in that form of survival anymore. We can approach life from a sense of understanding that we have a lot of blessings, we have a lot of privileges, we have a lot of abundance. But if we're always focusing on the negative, if we're always focusing on the scarcity, there's no time to focus on the abundance. There's no time to recognize your blessings. So I hope this video helps you keep in mind that you need to identify what it is you value and be aware of those things. Be self-aware, be introspective about your goals, about the way you want to live your life. But at the same time, know that even if your life doesn't look like the way you define, it doesn't mean you're a failure. Don't block your blessings by feeling like it has to look like that. It has to feel the way you want. Success can look differently. In fact, for a lot of people, success looks like failure, learning lessons, minor success, setback, failure, 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 until you get that big success. And then you realize those small failures, they weren't even failures. They were just steps in the right direction. They were part of the process of success. And so that's really what I mean by blocking your blessings. It's focusing so much on the things that are going wrong, the scarcity, the aspects of the journey that you think are not working, and not realizing there's a bigger picture going on here. God has a vision and a destiny for you. You have your own vision and destiny for yourself. Life is trying to make that happen for you. You need to cooperate with life rather than fight against life. But you still need to show up and do it. You still need to recognize the aspects of your life that are going well, the aspects of life that you need to work on. And then make a plan and work on those. Not just sit and be a victim, or not just sit and feel like you're a failure and that you can never make it. You can make it. But you have to acknowledge the blessings that are in your life, whether they're opportunities, relationships, people, an environment. Acknowledge those blessings. Don't block them. And use them to get to a better place in your life. A place where you can feel happier, more successful. But define that first so you know where you're heading. And then you'll stop blocking your blessings. So I hope you keep this in mind. I hope you learned something from it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.